Welcome to today's explainer. We usually just brush away the honeybee without a second thought, right? But what if I told you this tiny buzzing creature actually holds a ruthless, highly efficient blueprint for a purposeful life? Seriously, how could an insect teach us about our careers, our relationships, or our deepest goals? Well, today we're zooming way in. We're going completely microscopic to uncover some massive truths. What if a tiny bee really did hold the ultimate blueprint to a meaningful life? That's exactly the premise of our explainer today. We're going to break down 4 powerful and honestly surprisingly profound life lessons derived straight from the daily life of the honeybee. And hey, these aren't just cute little nature facts to memorize. These are highly applicable, incredibly effective strategies that we can use to navigate our own human world. Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at a 4-part blueprint today. First up, the power of purpose. Second, masterful communication. Third, embracing the daily grind. And finally, leaving the world better. Let's jump right in. Lesson 1, the power of purpose and trusting the process. If you look inside a beehive, you're going to see a dense metropolis of tens of thousands of individuals. Now, in human terms, a city that crowded would be absolute chaos. But inside the hive, there is zero confusion. Every single bee knows its exact role and executes it with total dedication. Just look at the sheer specialization here. You've got nurses meticulously caring for the young brood, builders crafting these structurally perfect hexagons out of wax, and foragers braving the unpredictable outside world just to gather resources. Each bee naturally excels at its unique contribution to the bigger picture. They figure out what they're naturally good at, they do it with absolute excellence, and they trust that their highly specific work matters immensely to the survival of the whole colony. And that brings us to a really fascinating contrast. Competition versus collaboration. You see, us humans, we often default to fighting for the top spot, or maybe the most glorious role. But bees, they unequivocally choose collaboration. Every single time. They don't compete with each other for the best job. They just work together seamlessly. So the core takeaway for finding our own purpose is this. Trust your process, focus on your unique contribution, and collaborate rather than compete. Let's see how that naturally builds into Lesson 2, Masterful Communication, or sharing the nectar. Picture a forager bee out in the wild. She suddenly stumbles upon a massively rich, blooming source of nectar. Now, she doesn't hoard it, she doesn't keep it a secret so she can be the MVP of the hive. No, she heads straight home and performs what is known as the Waggle dance. It's exactly what it sounds like, a literal figure-8 dance performed right there on the honeycomb. But get this, it is not just a little celebration dance. Through the specific angle and the exact duration of her movements, she communicates the precise distance and direction of the food source to her sisters. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute peak of clear communication. She's not giving them a vague idea like, hey, it's over by the big oak tree. No, she gives them the exact coordinates. Translating this fascinating biological fact into our world, success isn't just finding nectar. It's clearly sharing the vision with your team. Think about it. In our own lives and careers, finding a great idea or landing a massive opportunity, that's really only half the battle. The true success comes from how clearly and effectively we share our knowledge, our ideas, and our vision with the people around us. If you can't perform your own waggle dance to bring your team along, well, all that nectar just goes to waste. Which leads perfectly into Lesson 3, embrace the daily grind, because consistency builds empires. In our modern world, we all crave instant results, right? Overnight success. But bees definitely do not operate that way. They don't wait around for some massive, magical harvest to just suddenly appear. Instead, their entire workflow is built on focusing solely on the very next flower. Just consider the sheer scale of this number, 55,000. To achieve their ultimate goal, a single colony must collectively fly over 55,000 miles. Guys, that's more than twice the circumference of the entire Earth. But the journey doesn't stop with distance. 2 million. During that mind-boggling 55,000-mile journey, the colony must land and visit over 2 million individual flowers. Think about the repetition there. 2 million tiny separate actions, repeated over and over and over again, with relentless, absolute dedication. And the grand result of all those miles and millions of flowers? One. Just 1 single pound of honey. Literally all of that staggering, monumental effort produces just a single jar of honey you'd find at the grocery store. It is truly a masterpiece of tiny, consistent efforts. So, the crucial takeaway here is this: don't get overwhelmed by the size of your goals. Just focus on visiting the next flower. When you're facing your own daily grind, it can be totally paralyzing to look at the 2 million flowers ahead of you. It's just too much. But if you can just fall in love with the process and take it one flower at a time, your consistency will build an empire. And finally, we arrive at lesson 4, leave the world better, or nurturing the ecosystem. Up until now, we've really been looking internally at the individual bee and the hive itself. But let's pull the camera back a bit to see their massive global impact. As bees travel from flower to flower doing their daily grind, they aren't just extracting nectar for themselves, they are carrying pollen. This incredibly simple act of transportation is what allows plants to reproduce, which quite literally sustains the ecosystems of our entire planet. The bee is just doing its daily work, but the beautifully accidental byproduct of that work is life itself. So the crucial point is captured perfectly here. Whatever you do, leave a trail of growth and life behind you. A bee's entire existence is this powerful, deeply inspiring reminder that our true legacy isn't just about what we take or extract from the world. It's really about how we nurture the world around us while we're here. As you do your work, are you allowing the people and the environment around you to bloom? To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a final question. Which lesson resonates with you? The next time you step outside and hear the buzz of a bee passing by, remember that you aren't just looking at a simple insect. You're looking at a tiny master of purpose, a genius of communication, and an absolute powerhouse of hard work. Take a moment today to reflect on which of these 4 nature-inspired lessons you're going to apply to your own life. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the hive. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.